Great. Great. Great! Just perfect! First, my entire Mario collection disappears, then I get turned into a monkey, and then it turns out that 3000 Tree Studios, or Mega Silver 3000, lied to me about Sonic 06 being on Nintendo Switch. I swear, man, something's fishy. And then Shimoda Brian starts insulting me. Glad those two are in hell now, but
Ah! A monster! I thought this was Retro's house! Ah!
Believe me, not the first time somebody called me a monster.
The monster talks?!
Okay, now you're just... Wait. What the? Damn it! Why do I keep turning into turns?
Wait, Retro? Is that you?
The one and only.
What the flippity flop happened to you? This is a family show, kids.
To be honest, I don't know. Maybe I'm reviewing too many Sonic games.
Well, you do kind of look like a werewolf, and wait a minute. Sonic Unleashed is about werewolf hog thingies too. Maybe if you review Sonic Unleashed with me, you can get cured.
Didn't you hear what I just said? I'm reviewing too much. How would reviewing another Sonic game help?
Retro, I'm trying to advance the plot here.
What plot? Sonic Unleashed. Right after Sonic 06 released to the fanfare of absolutely no one, Sega and Sonic Team didn't really know what to do with the series. There was Sonic and the Secret Ring, which had the motion controls.
And it's no use himself.
Yep, I already brought up that game. Shadow the Hedgehog released before that. I suppose people didn't like Heroes. Actually, there wasn't much outside of the handhelds and spin-offs, but the point is, people knew that Sonic wasn't the same since Adventure, or the Mega Drive days. And then Sonic Unleashed released, and nobody cared about it. However, this will be the last game, last-ish game, in the quote-unquote dark era of Sonic games. And in recent years, a lot, and I mean a lot of people are saying that this game is good, even their favorite Sonic game. I didn't have much of a history with it myself. I have played a tiny bit of the Wii version at a friend's house, I think before Colors? Years later, when I got the PS3 version, I honestly just couldn't motivate myself to finish it.
Professor Pickle!
That's it?
Yes, that is my sole opinion on the game.
Well, you know what? Yeah, Professor Pickle! Let's get to the history.
This game started development in 2006, so pretty soon after Sonic 06 released, and was actually the first Sonic game to use the Hedgehog engine. And I gotta say, this game looks gorgeous, and even holds up on the Wii, which is truly impressive. The game also actually started development as Sonic Adventure 3, but then the Sonic team added too many things that separated it from the Adventure series, and so it just sort of became its own thing. Very sad. It was directed by Yoshihisa Hashimoto, who really only worked on Unleashed and the Hedgehog engine at Sega, before leaving in 2009 to work at Square. The game finally released in November 18th, 2008 in North America, November 27th in Australia, November 28th in Europe, and December 18th in Japan. It was originally released on the PS2, Wii, and Xbox 360, but later released on PS3 and apparently mobile?
Not gonna lie, I'm interested to play this version. So, is this game good or bad? Let's find out next time on Retro's Review! The game starts with Dr. Eggman and his army doing something, and then Sonic raids the fleet and we see him do some cool fast stuff. And then... Super Sonic! Wait, isn't this a bit early for Super Sonic? Eggman then traps Sonic into a, well, trap, and somehow manages to pull the Chaos Emeralds right out of him. Using the energy, Eggman fires a cannon at a planet and breaks it apart. In doing so, he released a mysterious creature called Dark Gaia, which Eggman plans to use to
try to take over the world.
But by doing so, Sonic turns into... this thing. You know, I just realized, Sega should have made Halloween masks. Eggman then sends him flying out into space, where he supposedly dies.
That's all, folks.
Nah, just kidding, he's still alive. We then meet this fellow, which Sonic later names Chip. Apparently, he's lost his memory, so Sonic the Hedgehog agrees to help him find his memories again. Throughout the story, we learn a few things. When the sun goes down, Sonic turns into a werehog, his arms can stretch, and to fix the plant again, Sonic must restore energy back to the Chaos Emeralds by going to the Gaia temples. There's a few more details to the story, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's focus on the gameplay.
So the gameplay is kind of split into a few sections. I'll talk about just the day levels and let Retro suffer with the rest. These levels don't tend to be the absolute longest, but god are they fun to play. Sonic control's great, enemies are super manageable, and obstacles are actually nice since you can realistically react to most of them. Not to mention, as previously stated, this game looks gorgeous, and with these fast-paced levels, everything still holds up and it's just really impressive. Maybe this is just me, but the 2D sections in Sonic games like Sonic Forces are really painful. But in this game, they're actually nice. Well balanced because they don't slow you down that much, but at the same time everything is perfectly visible so you know where to go and what to do. Another thing that was done really well in this game was boosting, and it would be important for them to do it well anyway since this is the first mainline Sonic game to introduce boosting. Boosting dramatically affects gameplay since it makes you super fast, as Sonic does. It attracts rings and makes you invincible. It also sets some of the differences between the adventure games and this one, since while the adventure games are somewhat open in the sense of more open areas to attack, Unleashed is vastly more linear, and even has these 2D sections where, evidently, you can't even move in the 3-dimensional plane. So yeah, way more linear. There's also the items like the wall jump and stomping shoes, which are actually only present in the 360 and PS3 versions, since you technically already start with them on the PS2 and Wii versions. Anyways, the items are found in different places and allow you to do different things, like for example, wall jump or stomp down in the middle of a jump. In the 360 and PS3 versions, getting these items are mandatory to progress to different levels, and for some, mandatory to get the next item. Anyways, I would say the day levels are my favorite aspect of the game, and they're stupid fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. While I do prefer the adventure style over this one, there's no doubt that just boosting for your opponents is a lot of fun. And unlike Callers, if you watched my review, hint hint, it adds some challenge to it. You need to react fast while boosting. Quick step out of the way, push the right buttons to keep going, the wall jumping, stomp to land faster and quickly boost again, and when there are 2D sections, they too are reaction based to your speed, and even if they weren't, there are few and far between. It ain't adventure, but it sure does have the essence of Sonic game without being too easy or too hard. Well, there are a few issues. The boost button is on the same button as the homing attack. While it's not a big issue, it did take some getting used to. Also, I'm very used to the 360 buttons, so when it comes to any quick time events, yeah. Also, they still couldn't get the lightspeed dash right. Emphasis on few. But then we get to the other side of the game, the werehog. This is a part that gets the community split into two, all mainly on the bad side back then. And honestly, who can blame them? I mean, just look at this. Speed? Attitude? Pfft, screw that. Why don't we just have a vampire here too? We'll call it... still a better love story than 06. Sonic Team wanted to do something to make up for the lack of extra characters and all, and I can understand that. So how do they do that? They turn them into a hack and slash. And I am very mixed on this. Well, for starters, let's get to the good side. For this style of gameplay, it does the job very well. You press two buttons, one for weak and one for strong attacks. Use them together in certain ways to create combos. You have a shield. If you collect enough of these thinamajigs, you can do an unleash attack which makes you stronger, faster and invincible for a short time. And there's still some platforming to do. They're not much, but it's fine. However, I really couldn't care less about this. With a few exceptions like Final Fantasy VII Remake for example, I've never been too interested in this style of gameplay. When I play a Sonic game, I want speed, and I wouldn't mind this if it was its own game or something, but it takes up like half the game, and if I want to unlock more boost stages, I've got to spend 20 minutes on this! Look, this isn't bad, but I really don't enjoy playing through these levels honestly. Well, one thing that's, well, something I suppose, is the level up system, where if you collect enough yellow tins from defeating enemies in either stages, you can level up both Hedgehog and Werehog. The daytime part doesn't really have much use honestly, but the Werehog has some good stuff like unlocking new moves.
This game was developed around the time hack and slash video games were pretty popular, so I understand the inspiration, but for all those reasons Retro said before, it's clear the execution was subpar on these levels. So yeah, I agree with Retro on the fact that these levels really bring Unleashed down a bit. Like any good Sonic game, Sonic 06, Unleashed likes to have hub worlds, and like, my god are these big improvements from 06. Soliano was so So having all these different hub worlds in Unleashed which tackle all different types of architecture and cultures is actually super cool, and really gives a sense that you have to save the entire world by visiting all these places. A true Sonic adventure. Anyways, these hubs aren't too confusing and perfectly serve their purpose. And also the NPCs are less, well...
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, this is probably the best hub world we've gotten so far from a Sonic game. Well, I do think this could have benefited a bit better from a map, and the loading screens don't freaking count! But it's not too bad, and I've never had any trouble getting to the stages, so it's all good. And look at that! We've got missions too! Why does everything have to lead back to this game? Well, they are kinda just as pointless as 06 to bother with, since you just get some XP and runes. At the very least, they're quick and harmless, and you're not required to do them! With the Werehog for certain missions, you do have to flash a camera at people who aren't themselves to perform an exorcism, which is pointless. Again, just like the missions. Oh yeah, you can buy stuff with friends again. This time it's just for souvenirs and such, so they're nothing more than just collectibles, but again, they're harmless. You can even buy food. Give them to Sonic and you get XP. Give them a chip and... he talks? And this guy won't give you the food till you do a mission! What? Oh yeah, twice you'll be able to shoot down enemies in the tornado, just like Sonic Adventure. Except here, you press different buttons and you know what? Fair enough. Again, Xbox buttons don't work with me, so oof. I do enjoy the story too. Sonic games typically went a bit confusing after Adventure, and after this game, and Black Knight if I'm being honest, stories in Sonic games have either been bad and boring or non-existent. This game, however, has a good balance. Great storytelling with some good enough humor, I guess, while making sure not to go too far and make it complicated. There's also this part where Chip remembers who he is, and he's actually liked Gaia, and his job was to stop Dark Gaia and put the pieces back together. And just when he was going to go and do things himself, Sonic says this.
Do I need a reason to want to help out a friend? Thanks, Sonic.
Man, this is how to make Sonic's character good. There's cool, and then there's cool. You know what? Mega Silver was right. Actually, no, screw him. And just like Fanmail said in the beginning, this game looks really good. Dare I say, the best a Sonic game has ever looked so far. This is how you do a next generation jump. Not this. Everything's bright and the colors blend just right with the art style. Oh, and I really like the art style itself. Unlike 06 or even the adventure games, the humans don't look too realistic. They feel like they belong in a Sonic game, so it's almost not weird seeing Sonic with them. Also, those ice creams look so delicious. Chocolate chip sundae supreme. The voice acting is also pretty good. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but at least it's not.
Oh yeah!
In my opinion, Jason Griffith is the most consistently good Sonic voice, and the others are alright too. I find it funny how he handles the Werehog's voice. I wouldn't say bad, but it does go over the top at times. Also, in my opinion, he sounds like Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda when they're fighting. And then the music. Leave it to Sonic to keep the music strong. This time, they went for an orchestral mood. 1 year before Mario, actually.
Especially that main menu music. Holy guacamole, it's incredible.
Woo! But that's not all. They also have different music for different regions and, well, I'm not a huge fan of all of them. Super glad they don't have the Irish music because that becomes generic once you listen to that for enough years. But when I find music I like, they hit hard. Especially the Chinese and French music. And I like how it goes soft for the night stages. Not as good, but they do set the mood. That is until you start fighting. Then... And don't get me started on them E-Rack music. Ah, man, I love them.
So while this game perfects the day levels, the night levels with the Werehog leave a lot to be desired. Even for a hack and slash game, it's not that fun, and the controls feel flimsy for me. They're also slow-paced, uninteresting, and don't have clear objectives. While the idea is interesting, the execution really is not there.
Yeah, I've already said my thoughts on this, but I don't think I enjoy them very often. Although I do think it's alright for a hack and slash. I don't think I should be making that judgment. Outside of the Werehog, I do have my own little issues with the game. Actually, hold on. I do find it funny how he has the spiky shoes and he still slips on the ice. What's the point of giving him the shoes then? His quick stepping is, well, a little off. Granted, it's not as bad as Colors, but there are times when it doesn't feel very natural. How should I explain it? He doesn't move to where he should move at times? I don't know. There's the homing attack button issue I mentioned. No Sonic game has done that before or since, so why? I mean, it wasn't an issue once I got used to it, but why? And then the medals. Throughout the stages, on top of the other collectibles, there are the Sun and Moon medals, where if you collect enough of them, you can open new stages. So that means if you don't have enough, you will have to go back and find some more, which means checking everywhere and going slow just to move on. And I don't mind it in some games, but there are those I don't really like doing. This game is one of them, and I draw the line when I have to collect 16 more!
So the game leads up to Eggman making some kind of theme park dystopia land, which surprisingly seems common in Sonic Colors. And he calls this place Eggman Land, so rank S for naming skills. Anyways, Eggman Land is actually a pretty cool stage. It doesn't make the worst use of the whole Werehog / Sonic gimmick, and honestly slightly reminds me of the Arbiter's Ground from Twilight Princess, which is a really good Zelda dungeon.
Screw this level! Sorry to butt in, but this takes so long to beat, and I repeat, cannot deal with how long the Werehog stages last. Ah! It's not the worst stage I've ever played, and I may be overreacting, but man, did it really need to last this long?
Come on, Retro, it's only like 14-ish minutes.
This crap took me an hour. Don't! I know what you're gonna say. This is my show!
But anyways, the layout is cool. Again, it makes good use of both Sonic and the Werehog, and also, it has one of the best Sonic bosses in my opinion. The Egg Dragoon is just a really good boss fight, and it's a really satisfying final Eggman boss. So right before fighting the Egg Dragoon, Sonic and Chip reclaim the final Chaos Emerald, thus making the Earth whole again. So yay, except for one problem. The Egg Dragoon fight makes Sonic, Chip, and Eggman fall to the core of the Earth, and after beating Eggman, Dark Gaia, the actual big bad of this game, is quite upset. And so we start the final boss fight, but before that...
What? It's Dark Gaia!
Thank God this game has those 06 crisp CGI cutscenes, because they happen to be very sexy. Dark Gaia absorbs the dark energy from Sonic, which made him the Werehog, so he loses that, and then Chip, who is Light Gaia, who is evidently Dark Gaia's counterpart, does some pretty cool stuff and makes a giant tempo mech straight out of an anime, which is used to defend Sonic before he can get back up and go super, say, Sonic. For a Supersonic boss, it isn't the worst, and it's definitely better than Solaris. Less confusing home attack stuff, no shadow and silver switching, and awesome visually.
I will say, for a Supersonic boss fight, it isn't the worst because this. But to be honest, I was hoping for a little more, at least vibe-wise. Frankly, the fight is pretty good, but taking down a shield, a quick time event, One hit to the eye. Again, the rest is fine. I'm probably just nitpicking here. Chip is slow as fudge though. Oh, and Supersonic can lose his rings here. Not slowly over time because I suppose that was dumb? But Dark Guy can actually damage Supersonic, making him lose his rings. You could really tell I haven't beaten this game before my Mania review. Maybe the Phantom Ruby came from him. Though the rocks can also take your rings away, so... I got nothing.
After finally beating Dark Gaia, the Earth is finally fixed, and everyone Sonic and Chip helped along the way are happy. But Chip unfortunately can't make it, and disappears, leaving Sonic his ring necklace bracelet thing, and now he'll never forget him. But who cares, cause endless possibilities!
I see it, and now it's all within my reach.
Endless possibilities.
I see it now, it's always been inside of me. And now I feel so free, endless possibility. And that was Sonic Umbrella. And that was Sonic Unleashed. What do we think of it? Well, it's really half and half. Sorry Unleashed fans. I really enjoyed the daytime stages, not counting a few issues. The start, of sorts, of an interesting idea from Sonic Team after 06. Fast yet fun with some good challenges that test your reaction, mixed with some 2D sections that don't overstay their welcome, some beautiful visuals, and an amazing soundtrack. The nighttime stages, however, I wouldn't call them bad or anything, but it's not really something I look forward to when I play this game. Slow and takes forever to beat. I know you guys like this part, and if you do, good for you. But it has to be something said when I dread half of the game. So, is it a good game? Yeah, but I do wish they trended the facts. If you do want to get this game, the Xbox Series X is your best option, since the frame rate and loading times are so much better. Now we just gotta wait for 6 to be compatible.
This game happens to be another one of my childhood Sonic games, and I have a lot of good memories, and I also happen to be blinded by nostalgia, but for things like night stages, I totally understand that they're clunky, annoying, and long. But yeah, at the same time, it also does so many things right, and it's pretty cool how it's kind of the end of the adventure lineage of games, and also introduced all the things to start the boost generation of games. The music is awesome too, like Retro said, and also the graphics are really good. Now as for the PS2/Wii versions of this game, here's a quick summary. The Wii and PS2 are pretty close in computing power, however in comparison the 360 and the PS3, it's not exactly fair. No flipping duh. Being less powerful, these versions had to take quite a few cuts. For example, the hub worlds are basically removed in place for these visual novel-esque things, and a lot of other content is changed or removed. For example, items like the stomping shoes are all given to you at the beginning, so you don't have to collect them, and obviously these versions look worse in general. In fact, they weren't even developed using the Hedgehog engine, but that's not to say they still don't look impressive despite the hardware, because to be honest, I generally find they look better than 06. And also, minus some shaking, the Wii port doesn't even rely on motion controls and controls pretty well. While these versions are downgrades and won't get you the same experience, they're still quite good and enjoyable in their own right.
While not a bad option for gaming, you'll still be better off with the HD versions. Also screw the whole boosting mechanic and the motion controls and when the nunchuck just doesn't want to walk right. You know, I was honestly expecting something to happen. Did it not work?
Well, if you don't recall, I only said this would maybe work, so, you might be stuck this way for a bit.
So you lied to me?
Oh, what's that? Oh, look at the time. I have an appointment, to, get my watch checked.
You don't have a watch!
Bye!
Well, that's just...
That one's going in the book of crust.
Well, that just sort of happened. But at least everything's the way it should be.
Seymour! Hey, do you have any screwdrivers? I need them to build my Gundam. You have a Gundam now?
Looks like trouble is brewing up again at Retro's Treehouse. What game would he play next? Who is that silver hedgehog? Why isn't Shimoda a Gmod yet? Is that damn Mortal Kombat review done yet?
I'm working on it.
Find out next time on Retro's Review! This is my escape. I'm running through this world and I'm not looking back. 'Cause I know I can go where no one's ever gone and I'm not looking back. But how will I know when I get there? And how will I know when to leave? We've all got to start from somewhere, and it's right there for me.